cook ingredients and not only meals. So for example, let's say cook the base. For example, we use a lot of meat in our food, we use a lot of chicken stock, so cook the ingredients ahead of time and freeze it. Frozen vegetables, like we said, ingredients like onions, like garlic, everything has to be prepared ahead of time and frozen. This might take you a day, but you know that you are prepared for the month.
Welcome back to the Madinat Mom Podcast, where real moms talk, experts share insights, and coffee fuels the chat so you can thrive in motherhood. I'm Nour, your host, and today we are talking about meal planning, something that can feel incredibly overwhelming. Trust me, I know. I'm joined by Riham Shamseddin, a clinical dietitian and mom of two, who's sharing simple, realistic ways busy moms can plan, prep, and nourish their families. Riham, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Nour, for having me.
Can you tell us a bit about yourself?
Okay, so I'm Riham. I'm a clinical dietitian. I have been based in the UAE for the past 15 years. I've been practicing nutrition for the past 15 years as well. I have two children, two kids, 11 and 8, and I know how difficult it is to keep a healthy environment at home, but you learn. It's a learning curve, and with time you learn how to make things better. It doesn't have to always be right, but it can always be better. So I'm here to help moms. I'm a clinical dietitian, and I'm also specialized in children and family nutrition.
Mm-hmm. Have you been working with moms for the past 15 years?
Yes, I started when I started my practice. I was doing a lot of weight loss management, taking care of people's health and changing their lifestyle if they have a medical condition. But since I became a mom, I found it very challenging. Even though I was a nutritionist, but I didn't know what to do. I had no clue. So I decided to go deeper into my studies, and I specialized in children nutrition to make things better and to understand family nutrition better as well. So I've been working with moms for the past, let's say, 10 years, and it's been an incredible journey. Putting this impact on others as well. So it's very, very rewarding.
What would you say is one of the biggest concerns moms have come to you with?
It's always a lack of time, especially where we live in a very busy cities, and we live without family support as well. So it's always a lack of time. It's always a lack of planning. Overwhelmed moms, they always think that they have to make the meals very fancy, exotic, complicated to nourish their children, especially in the presence of social media. Sometimes it can be a bit challenging and a little bit discouraging for moms, because they without wanting to, they get influenced by others. So they feel that they have to have a perfect meal plan, have a perfect lifestyle. Children shouldn't be exposed to sugar, for example. They feel that they have to have a balanced day, like meals for the children from morning until evening, whereas it has to be a balanced day. We don't care if it's like one of the meals wasn't as balanced, because we know the challenges. Meals can be very simple. It doesn't have to be complicated, as long as we include all the food groups throughout the day, as long as we nourish our children, as long as we choose good ingredients. It doesn't have to be that complicated.
Mm-hmm. I'm one of the moms that gets overwhelmed by meal planning, because you're not only talking about meal planning, you're talking about thinking what you're going to cook, getting the ingredients, preparing the ingredients, cooking the ingredients,
True.
Then storing them, and then you have to do it again. And of course there's the after mess in the kitchen.
Of course.
What is a tip that you would give someone like me?
So I really advise mom to think ahead, okay? Because meal prepping can be easy if you have the time. But you need to plan ahead. Like if you don't have the time, you need to plan it ahead of time, like 1 week ahead of time. Especially if you're a working mom and you have to work outside and inside the house. If you have long working hours, you need to plan ahead. It doesn't work. So what I suggest is to always pick one day. Let's say a Friday, a Saturday, if you're working from home sometimes, you can pick one day to plan ahead and meal prep. Engage the children in choosing the menu, but don't give them a lot of options. So we give them 2 options, the options that I want them to choose from. So let's say you can choose rice and chicken or ملوخية and rice. So don't give them the option, like don't make it an open-ended conversation. That way they are engaged, they help you choose, and they help you plan. And you should plan for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like, what are you going to have for breakfast and for lunch and for dinner, including snacks. A lot of times this is a mistake we all do. We don't plan for snacks, which is very important as well. So what I suggest is always keep frozen vegetables in the freezer, so they are as healthy as fresh vegetables. Cook in bulk, so cook the recipe times 2, times 3. Get containers that are freezer friendly. Definitely you have to put the expiry date and the day of production of the food to know when is it expiring. Cook ingredients and not only meals. So for example, let's say cook the base. For example, we use a lot of meat in our food, we use a lot of chicken stock, so cook the ingredients ahead of time and freeze it. Frozen vegetables, like we said, ingredients like onions, like garlic, everything has to be prepared ahead of time and frozen. This might take you a day, but you know that you are prepared for the month. For example, you can also cook sauces, stocks, everything. That will make it very easy for you to put a meal together. And sometimes if you don't have the time, you have to have like an emergency plan. You know, like I don't have time, maybe I will make an omelette. Maybe I will make a one sheet pan, you know, chicken with vegetables in the oven. So things have to be easy, things have to be simple. It doesn't have to be complicated, but we really need to plan ahead. And with this, we mean also grocery shopping. And fortunately, we do have the luxury of ordering online ingredients. If we don't have time to do that and go physically to the supermarket, we can do that ahead of time and prepare ourselves. One more thing I like to say is do a fridge foraging like once a week. Like check what you have in your fridge and cook whatever ingredients you have, and this will give you an idea to cook a healthy meal from what you have in the fridge. This will minimize the waste and get you creative as well. So I mean, this is what I do, and it works a lot for me since I became a mom. It makes things easier. Sometimes a meal can take 10 to 15 minutes, that's the maximum we do. And you can always do leftovers, and you can always recycle meals. So let's say you have leftovers rice, you can do a stir fry with chicken, for example, and frozen vegetables. This will take 10 minutes. So
can you freeze everything?
You can freeze everything as long as you put a label and with the production day and expiry date. Usually when we talk about cooked meat, I prefer not to exceed the 3 months. When we also talk about frozen vegetables, it can go up to 6 to 9 months, as long as the food is really well preserved. So if you have a vacuum machine, that will help, because it will help preserve the food more. It will not be exposed to air, so this will help it not spoil. When it comes to sauces, stocks, this can also last to up to 6 months. So for stocks, for example, I always prepare like a huge batch and keep it in the freezer. Sometimes it lasts me for 6 months. So depending on on your family size, you have to plan ahead this way. This will help you a lot, especially if you have smaller children who are starting to eat, for example, you're weaning them off, and you have bigger children where you have like different age groups in the house. So you need something easy to make, and you need something like handy. So freezer is your friend. As a mom, freezer is your friend. Definitely you can freeze everything. And you can also cook, like, let's say for 3 days. Food can stay up to 3 days in the, like, cooked food, like that includes chicken, meat, and fish, can stay up to 3 days in the fridge. There's no harm at all refrigerating the food as well.
And after the 3 days, if you did not use the food, can you move it to the freezer?
It's always better to freeze the food when it's fresh. So after the 3 days, if we are not using the food, it's better to discard it. Like, unfortunately, I don't like to waste food. That's why the moment I cook, whatever I feel is in excess, I freeze it.
What would you say is the biggest myth about meal planning that you've heard?
Like I said, is basically fancy meals. So meals shouldn't be fancy. And something really, really important that moms I have to keep in mind is that sugar is not your enemy. Is not your enemy, and we want to include it as part of a balanced meal in a controlled and mindful way. So the earlier you put healthy habits, the better it is for your kids, because they will be exposed. So whether we want it or not, they will be exposed to sugar, they will be exposed to like unhealthy snacks, which I don't prefer to label foods as good and bad, but they will be exposed to less healthier options, let me say. So it's always good to prepare them ahead, to explain to them that it's not about only the quality, it's also about the quantity of desserts we include in our daily meals. Let it be part of balanced diet. There's no harm at all to have it. And basically, recommendations are to have it directly after your lunch or your dinner. So it has to be more normalized, okay? Even packaged desserts, it's not the end of the world if we give them packaged dessert from time to time. And moms don't always have the luxury of time to prepare like desserts from scratch. So it's okay to normalize it. It's okay to include it in a healthy diet. We don't want to tell them you will have it on your birthday or if you go to a party, because if you do that, binge eating will happen. It's normal, because when kids are not exposed to a certain food, they will feel that they are deprived, and deprivation is not always the answer. So let them be around these kinds of food, but let them choose. Let them choose healthy. Let them be more mindful. A lot of times kids who are exposed to these types of food, when they go to birthday parties, when they're invited, a lot of times they skip the snack because it's normalized in their environment. So this is one of the things moms fear a lot of times, and they think that it's always better to avoid it until the kid is like 4 to 5 years old. And when it's 4 or 5, when they're at this age, it's a bit difficult to control the amounts that they are having. And we don't want them also to hide food, and do it behind our backs, because a lot of times you send a lunchbox that is super like very aesthetic, looks amazing without any type of sugar, and the kids, they come back a lot of times with a full lunchbox because they took a snack from their friend. And eventually you will know that it will happen because they are deprived. So it's fine to normalize it. So this is one of the myths that moms do. Another myth, which is very common, because, Nour, it became a bit, how do we say it? It became very trendy for the mom or for the dad, we're not talking only about moms, to have a different meals from what the kids are having, So what we want here is really the family to have at least one meal together as a family. So this is something we don't do anymore as much because of the busy schedule. But let's try to find the time, at least for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, to sit together as a family, to have a meal together and to have the same meal. So why the kids will have a stew and you will have only a salad with grilled chicken? They will feel different. They will feel like basically what you're having is better than what they're having, because you're trying to pay attention to your health. And a lot of times you're talking about weight loss, you're talking about weight management in front of them, and this at the end will backfire, because kids, they watch you, they learn from you, they know. Even though you think that they don't notice, they do. So if you talk all the time about weight loss, about how you look, about how much fat you have to lose, exaggerating with, calorie counting, they will notice, and at the end it will backfire. So it's always better to normalize these things, have a meal together, have the same meals, so that they will not feel alone. And another thing is, sometimes we have to, but it's always better not to let them eat alone. Sometimes they come from school, we don't have time to sit with them, and this will make them feel, a little bit excluded. And take it from yourself. You won't like to eat alone, You want someone to share with you a meal. And it will keep them more mindful. It will help them be more mindful and more attentive to their hunger and to their fullness cues as well.
Can you give us a sample day of meals, what it should look like?
Okay, there's nothing like a standard, but we do have food groups, and that we want them to be included in our meals. From carbohydrates, grains, pasta, lentils, beans, all the pulses. So this is one food group. Pastas, for example, rice, quinoa, all of these are a complex carbohydrate, and they should be included in our diet, and they give you energy for your brain, for your muscles, so they are needed in the diet. Proteins, chicken, meat, fish. If you don't want to include these, you can have eggs, you can have tuna, for example, sardines from time to time. It's not a problem. Dairy products, so they should be a part of your diet as well. Fruits and vegetables. So these are the essential food groups that we have in our diet. So, for example, for breakfast, instead of including cereals and rice, like the pre-packed cereals. Pre-packed cereals are fun, for example, I know, and kids like it, but they are not super nutritious. They are not filling. They have a big amount of sugar, which we don't need really for breakfast. So I always prefer, if kids like cereals, maybe we give it to them, as part of a healthy week, but not on a daily basis. So instead of this, let's maybe replace it with a homemade granola, or granolas that we can buy from the supermarkets that don't have added sugar. Maybe they have added fruits and nuts and seeds. This is one with yogurts and extra cut up fruits. This can be a breakfast, or as simple as an omelette with Arabic bread, with whole grain bread, with any kind of bread that your kids like. This can be a part of their breakfast. Fool, for example, is a super breakfast for the weekends. I know that they're not going to have fool during school days, but it can be a super nutritious breakfast during the weekends, where we can add olive oil, so you are sourcing good fats here, and a lot of vegetables with a small portion of carbohydrates, like a bread or anything. So here you're having your proteins and your carbohydrates, and it's a complete meal. So these can be your options for breakfast. Snacks can be anything from fruits to yogurt to dried fruits to dates, for example, nuts and seeds, peanut butter and dates. This is something my kids love. A smoothie, for example, a small smoothie that you can prepare at home, a small fruit sorbet, frozen vegetables, you just put them in the mixer with yogurt. You will have a very nice sorbet that the kids love. A homemade dessert, a snack that they like, any chocolates that they like, the kids, that they can have once a day. This is for their snack. Popcorn, for example. Vegetable sticks with hummus. This is also a very good snack. For lunch and dinner, you want to always think protein, carbohydrates, and vegetables. So anything from stew, our Arabic stews, ملوخية, bazella, any Arabic stew with rice, with the protein, with the meat or the chicken. And it can also be a full vegan meal like mjadra, lentil and rice, burghol, anything like this. This is also a good meal. With a salad. So I always prioritize, if we don't have a stew with vegetables, let's say bami or anything, or mrukhiyya, for example, I always make a green salad, and it can be as simple as lettuce, cucumber, and tomato. And for dinner is the same. Some kids like to keep it simple, a sandwich of cheese, a Lebanese sandwich. Some families consider the dinner as the main course, because this is where they get together. So here we can have one sheet pan, like either with meat or chicken, fajitas. So anything that works for the family. As long as we think that our plate is divided into protein, vegetables, and our carbohydrates, you are having a complete meal, and you don't have to worry about what you had for the next meal. So sometimes one of the meals will not be as balanced, but as long as we're having the full food groups throughout the day and we're not eliminating. We're not talking about allergies and tolerances. Like if somebody is intolerant or allergic, then definitely there are food groups that we have to eliminate. But if we don't have allergies and tolerances, let's normalize all the types of foods. Let's normalize to have a yogurt throughout the day. Even if kids like milk, they can include it in their diet, in the diet, like once a day for breakfast or for dinner. My kids like to have milk, for example, like a cup of milk before they sleep. It's fine. It's completely okay. It's part of their diet. It's part of their balanced meals. It contributes in their calcium intake. It's not a big deal.
A lot of moms still eliminate foods. You mentioned elimination. And a lot of moms still feel a sense of guilt around certain food groups and food types. Why do you think that is?
Because of social media, because of claims that are not backed up by science. So when we talk about these things, we talk about evidence-based. We're not talking about trends. So trends, you will find them everywhere, Nour. Okay. The thing is, you have whatever you decide to follow. It has to be evidence-based, and we cannot follow trends. Like when we say gluten is bad, okay, it's bad for who? It's bad for you as a person who doesn't have any allergies, any intolerances, any sort of inflammatory disease, anything. Bad for who? When I say carbohydrates should be eliminated from your diet because carbohydrates make you gain weight, but why? When you eat them in a balanced way, when you eat them as part of a healthy diet, and it is essential. It's not only good, it is essential because it contributes in a lot of energy that your body needs for your brain, for your muscles as well. So even if you're a grown-up and you're eating a very low-calorie diet, you're exercising, you will feel weak. You will not be able to perform as good as you wish to perform, as well as you. So basically, okay, I understand we want to go organic sometimes because a lot of fruits and vegetables are have a big amount of pesticides, and we cannot eliminate them by basic washing. But if we cannot go full on organic, it's not the end of the world. It's fine. We can still, let's say, you don't find strawberries that are organic, and we know strawberries are one of the dirtiest foods when it comes to pesticides. But if you don't find them and you cannot find organic strawberries, we can always wash them properly with, let's say, baking soda, with water several times, and we can give them to our children occasionally, okay, if we don't find them organic all the time. So there are some and sometimes organic is not always the answer, because sometimes you get organic packaged food, and when you look at the ingredients, they are not ideal. So but when we say organic ingredients, yes, of course, if you can afford it and if you have access to it all the time, definitely it's the best thing for you and for your family. But for me, I don't believe in elimination. I believe in balance. I believe that we have to normalize food. We shouldn't fear food. Children at this age are very sensitive to what they see and what they learn from us. So we have to know that they are copying us. They are our mirror. So whatever you do, they will do. And if you make them fear food, they won't have this good and healthy relationship with food in later stages. Like now, maybe you can control, but when they are older, when they are teenagers, when they are older, independent, they live alone, they won't be able to control, and they will be obsessed about ingredients. They will be obsessed maybe about weight loss. They won't be happy. They won't be satisfied with their body images as well. So
yeah, body image is a whole other conversation we can dive into, but I'm interested in knowing more about the organic fruits, because you mentioned strawberries. What are other fruits and vegetables that you always recommend, if you have access to bring them organic?
Apples Kiwi.
Really?
No,
Apples?
sorry. Kiwi is one of the fruits that you can get if it's not organic, because the skin on the kiwi can protect it from pesticides. But apples, it's always better to get them organic. Raspberries, strawberries, all kinds of berries, because the pesticides are really like they can really be how do we say? They can catch a lot of pesticides. So this is one of the things. Green vegetables like kale, spinach, if we can get them organic, it's always a better idea as well. But bananas, kiwis, these are okay if we don't get them organic. I mentioned spinach, right? Spinach and green vegetables are one of the most vegetables that have pesticides on them. So it's always better if we have the option to get them organic. A lot of times we can't find them organic as fresh, so we can get them frozen organic. It's always a good option. Frozen is an amazing option because they are harvested in season. They keep their vitamins, their minerals, so there's no issue at all. Get them frozen. So this is a question we get a lot. Mothers are always scared to get frozen vegetables. I can assure you that vegetables, when they are frozen, or even fruits, sometimes we don't find, let's say, mangoes in season. They are not in season. It's better to get them frozen than not to have them at all, because when you get them frozen, it's in season. You cannot have them as is, but you can have them as part of a smoothie or a sorbet, or inside your oatmeal, for example. So it can be part of your diet. So yes, for frozen vegetables and fruits.
Okay, good to know. You mentioned also, dedicating a day to planning your meals and to cooking. There are going to be those days where the mom is just super busy and she can't, cook. She doesn't have anything in the freezer. What would you say are some hacks for those days where she doesn't have access to homemade food?
Okay, like I said, you always have to keep an emergency and plan for those days. So if we are not able to cook, if we are not able to get in the kitchen at any price, we can still order food, like moms are allowed, and you shouldn't feel guilty about this. There are plenty of places that cook healthy meals and good meals for the families, that are good enough for the family. Even though you don't want to have a stew, for example, you can have like anything that you are craving as a family. If you have a bit of time to cook, and if you have eggs, as simple as an omelette with a little bit of vegetables and a bread. This can be a good meal for your family. A tuna salad with pasta, and some vegetables. So a 5-minute steak and baked potato in the air fryer, So these are simple meals. It's still simple, but it's still wholesome. It's still nutritious and complete. So there's really no harm of having this. But this is why we said freeze the ingredients. Like, let's say you have a frozen bolognese sauce. All you have to do is cook the pasta. And it takes 10 minutes, 10 minutes. And you will have a meal, If you are not able to make a salad for lunch, it's fine. We can have it for dinner, Like I said in the beginning, it's not important to have at each meal a complete and full meal, as long as we're having our 3 vegetables or 2 fruits per day. That's the most important for me. And of course, our protein and our carbs. So the day shouldn't be ideal. There's nothing called ideal. As long as we are feeding our family, we're giving them what they have to take throughout the day. Not able to cook, we can order out. We can, there's no issue at all. We shouldn't feel guilty about this, because it should be it's normal. Sometimes the mom is even sick. She's busy at work. She's not even able to get her head out of bed. So we have to give her, and a lot of moms don't have support, Nour. Not all husbands are involved. Not every mom has help at home. We don't always have family around. So it's fine if we outsource sometimes. It's completely okay.
Riham, you know this about me, but I have a baby at home, so I'm still in postpartum. What should moms that are going through postpartum right now focus on in terms of nutrition?
Okay, so this is also a compromise a lot of moms are doing on their body and on their health, because they feel that they are definitely overwhelmed, especially if the baby is still small, especially if she's still breastfeeding and there's no help around. But we cannot compromise on this part. Yani we should anyway. In all means, she still needs to eat well, not only for her, and if she's breastfeeding, she needs the extra nutrients. Because, yes, milk production is affected by supply demand, but the quality of the milk will be much better if the food is richer in nutrients. So moms should be definitely focusing on high iron foods, because she might also have lost a lot of blood during delivery. Iron-rich foods, we are talking about meats, organ meats, chicken, fish, lentils, beans, all the pulses, anything, and of course green leafy vegetables like nukhiyya, spinach, and kale, for example. These are iron-rich foods. If we are taking a plant-based iron-rich food, we definitely have to complement it with a vitamin C source to increase the absorption, like strawberries, bell peppers, lemon juice, for example, oranges, cauliflower, broccoli. These are also a source of vitamin C that you can include with your plant-based iron-rich foods. This will improve the absorption of iron in the blood. Selenium-rich foods like fish, for example, nuts and seeds, these are very important. Vitamin C-rich foods to improve her immunity, because she might be also super tired, and the lack of sleep will also affect her immunity. So we have to have high vitamin C-rich foods, like I said, strawberries, kiwi, for example. So you should include more of these foods in your diet. Cauliflower, broccoli, cabbage, for example, as a salad. And always try not to mix iron-rich foods with the dairy products, because as well calcium might affect the absorption of iron. These are two minerals that really don't work together. So this is important. Her protein, because she is also in need of recovery, and proteins help a lot with the recovery. When we say protein, we are talking about animal protein, chicken, meat, seafood, eggs, for example. Dairy products also contain a certain amount of protein, like a yogurt, Greek yogurt, all the cheeses that she likes. And of course, pulses. They are also a source of protein as well, like lentils, mjadra, hummus, fool. All of these are also a source of protein. So she has to focus on these things. Drink a lot of water, because hydration is essential for her body, for her baby, and for a proper milk production, and to suppress a little bit fatigue, because a lot of times we are dehydrated. That's why we feel super tired. So these are really important things for the moms to include in her diet. Also, not to forget to include omega-3, at least sources of food like tuna, fatty fish, salmon, at least once or twice a week, because these are also anti-inflammatory and they improve your gut health. And because you are on a lack of sleep, because you are super tired, these things might affect the lack of attention to your nutrition, might affect your gut, and this might affect your brain, and might affect how you feel, it might affect your mental health. So taking care of your gut is really essential throughout this period. If you have help, definitely try to take all the help you can, so you can have this amount of good nutrition for your brain, for your muscles. And don't forget, a lot of times the moms are not able to exercise in the beginning, especially if you have been through a C-section. Maybe your doctor will not clear you for workout before 6 months, and maybe you don't have the time, you don't have the energy. So there might be muscle loss throughout this period. So we really need to eat our calories, and not only counting our calories, but our nutrients. And we are talking on average 500 to 700 calories extra that we need while breastfeeding your baby. And not to forget the waking up at nights. So this might affect your mood because your cortisol levels are high and you're not on a lack of sleep. And this also might affect your weight. So we have to take it easy on moms. Get all the help she can. If you are able to sleep at night and delegate, do that. And if you can't, we have to try to at least get our nutrition together during this period, and not to skip the meals. Like, this is very, very essential. And don't eat on the go, because you need to enjoy your meals as well. Take a good 30 minutes for your meal. It's fine. Take a break. Enjoy your meals. Have all the nutrition that you can take throughout this period. If you are on lack of nutrients and you need supplementation, also check with your doctor if you need to be on supplementation. A lot of moms need supplements after giving birth, so this is really essential.
Another thing that lack of sleep affects is high sugar cravings.
Of course.
What's your tip to navigating sugar cravings?
This is because also of a lack of sleep, but because of the prolactin, because of the milk production hormones, it's only normal for you to have sugar cravings. How to control sugar cravings? First of all, honor your hunger. Like, if you're hungry, first of all, you have to eat. And when I say eat, it's not a snack, it's a proper meal. Like, even if you feel that you didn't have a proper dinner, for example, when you are feeling hungry, maybe have yourself a sandwich. Bread with a protein, for example, full of vegetables. This will make you feel full, and you won't crave as much sugar as because sugar craving is mostly coming also from an emotional side, not only from a lack of food. A lot of times from a lack of food, but from an emotional side as well. So first of all, if we feel that we didn't eat well throughout the day, definitely include a small meal. So this will decrease your sugar cravings. If you crave sugar, it's always better to have it as part of your meal. So let's say you had your meal, have it directly after. This will decrease the high spike of sugar and insulin in the blood, and will not make you crave for more. So it's fine if you take one small snack of a small cake, a small chocolate that you like, but maybe have it directly post your meal. That way you won't crave for more, and at the same time you honored your cravings. It's not a big deal.
There's a lot of pressure on moms to look a certain way, this bounce back culture. But specifically, Yani, I think we've become a bit more aware that there's no such thing as bounce back, right?
Of course.
But there's still that unspoken pressure that moms face. I'll tell you from my experience, when I gave birth, I think it was around a month after I gave birth, someone commented on my body and said, someone close to me, and said, "You've gained weight." This was 1 month after I gave birth, and this person knew that I had just given birth. Again, that unspoken pressure of moms should look a certain way.
Yes.
Why do you think that is?
Again, it's first of all, when somebody is commenting about your looks, it's the problem is not you. The problem is them. It's with their lack of confidence. Is the problem to bring other people's down to feel better. Okay, whether they're commenting on a positive or negative note. Listen, a lot of times they are telling you you've lost a lot of weight, but they don't know why this weight loss. Maybe yes, you're doing a weight loss. You're on a weight loss journey, but maybe you're sick, maybe you're suffering from something that's not making you eat enough so that you are losing weight in an unhealthy way. So first of all, commenting on your body type or your body weight or anything, this is none of anybody's business. It is a very sensitive topic, but this is in our culture. This is very cultural. It's not only now, but since ever. People, when they see you, they have to comment on how you look. You look fat, you look thin, you are gaining weight, you are, don't you eat enough? Why are you doing this to yourself? So they always have something to say. And of course, the pressure of social media, like what they see on social media, and they don't know that this is not half the time, maybe I would say 80% of the time, not right. So whatever we see on social media is not real. And this is what I try to convey to mothers. And when I have like talks in schools or with moms, I always when I talk to teenagers and children, I always tell them, if you are exposed to social media, what you see is not real, because we don't want them to be affected by this image. First of all, after you give birth, Nour, a lot of times people bounce back if you want, but a lot of times it's genetic. So there's nothing we can do about genetics. Lack of sleep is nothing that we can do anything about. You took 9 months to get pregnant, to gain this weight. You might need as much as this or even more. Sometimes the moms have a really hard postpartum journey, which is making it much difficult for them to lose the weight or to even feel a little bit closer to what they feel about themselves. Or sometimes you look in the mirror, you don't feel like yourself. It takes a lot of times, it takes a lot of effort, and that sometimes you're not even there to put this effort. Like maybe you have an hour for yourself a day. So in this hour, maybe you want to do skincare. You don't want to go to the gym. I understand. So whatever feels right for you and for your family, as long as you are taking care of your health, of your nutrition, of your sleep, of your mental health. This is what I insist, and I like, this is more important than anything, your mental health, because some moms really, with the lack of support, with the lack of sleep, they cannot get through this postpartum journey. So when someone comments about our weight and how we look, this is a lack of boundaries at the end of the day. We shouldn't be affected because each person has their own journey. Not everyone won't get affected. A lot of times we get affected, but we should have this this way of not getting affected and not care about what people say or comment, because it's really everybody's journey is different. Yani, there's no woman similar to the other. What we see on social media is not real. What influencers show us that they are postpartum, they look flat, they don't have stretch marks, they eat like, at 3,000 calories a day but still manage to lose weight. This is not true. Like 90%, it's not true, because in order for you to lose weight, there are things you should be doing, and if you're still on this postpartum journey and you haven't recovered from it, take all the time you need, take all the time you want, as long as you are happy, your family is happy. This is what matters.
Yeah, definitely. Maternal mental health is one of the most important things. It's what keeps the family together.
Yes.
Riham, where can people reach you? How can they work with you?
I basically have my page, which is Spoon of Sun. They can reach me through Instagram, my Instagram account, and my website, which is spoonofsun.com. And they can get in touch. We can start the conversation. All the work I do now is basically virtual, and I do a lot of community work at schools and in a corporate setup if somebody wants to know more about health and nutrition. But I'm really focusing more now on mothers, on their family, because I feel like this is the most important.
Speaking of schools and kids specifically, is picky eating normal?
Picky eating is very normal. There are stages of picky eating, of course. When a kid doesn't eat 1 or 2 things, we can't call them picky. A lot of times moms panic. He's not eating cucumber. He's not eating broccoli anymore, which is normal. This is... it comes with their growth, and their taste buds change, everything changes. So a baby cannot be picky eater, because a baby who is still, from your son, he's still exploring food, he still wants to try everything. So at this age, it's not really the time where kids and babies become picky. We can see picky eating as soon as 2 years old. This is where they are able to say no, they are able to refuse, but this is completely normal. When you feel that your children are going through a stage of pickiness, not picky eating, because like I said, you have to really be picky and not eat. Some kids eat only 10 items. This is a picky eater. Only 20 items. This is a picky eater. But when they eat most of the things and they don't like few or some of the things, this is completely okay, and it sometimes has a lot of to do with the texture, with the smell, with how the food looks. Sometimes it doesn't look appealing for them, so this is completely okay. But if you feel that your children used to like something and they don't like it anymore and they don't want to eat it anymore, what you have to do is keep exposing them to it, because continuous exposure plays a big role in how you accept the food, even if they don't eat it, but expose it to them. If you want them to try a new food that they haven't tried and they don't maybe feel like trying, include it along with foods that they are familiar with and that they like. Like let's say the most hated vegetable is usually broccoli and kusa, zucchini. If you want them to try it, don't give them a broccoli, steamed broccoli with nothing with it. Give it to them with their favorite fruits and their favorite meal on the side, and let the plate be divided. In this way they can still see the vegetable, maybe have the curiosity to try it, and they are comfortable because there's already food that they are familiar with and they already like. So, but with complete exposure. So, like science says that basically you need like at least 20 exposure to this kind of food for the kids to start liking it. And of course, don't let them try anything new at school or in a new environment or when they're sick, for example. Because when they're sick, they become picky even about the foods that they already like. So when they're sick, they don't feel well, or they are at school, don't put like a vegetable they don't like in their lunchbox. Don't do that, because they will come. Sometimes it can be a little bit intimidating for them, and a lot of times they will stop eating the whole thing. So just take it easy. Do it in a very comfortable environment, which is their home, and with complete exposure. But picky eating is very normal for kids. Picky stages, I would say. We have to work with them, and we have to not give up. A lot of times moms, because their kids don't like a certain food, they run and prepare another meal. Definitely we shouldn't. Like, I'm totally against the idea of okay, let them starve and they will eat. This doesn't work. It will backfire, and kids can go days without eating. If you know, like they can do that, and it might affect their health very badly, physically, emotionally, mentally, and they will start having a very bad relationship with food. But there are strategies what we can use for them to eating, because when we put rules at home and everything is clear, like anything else when it comes to parenting, food is the same. We have clear rules, like we eat in the morning at 8 before you go to school, or at 7. When you come back, you wash your hands, you take a little break, you rest, you want to watch a little bit TV, you can, and then it's time for the meal, and we eat all together. So when the kids know what to expect, they will not have these tantrums about meal times. They might have it sometimes, but they might be sick, they might be in a bad mood, they might be very tired coming back from school. So we have to work with them and not against them. Like, we cannot tell them, okay, go, and whenever you're hungry, you come back. He might not come back, and he might go days without eating. So let's keep this healthy relationship with food, and have rules at home, like anything else. Like kids, also adults, everybody, they enjoy rules, they enjoy, expectations are important. It's important for you to come to something that you already expect what's going to happen, and not, so when there's no system in the house, it's normal for kids to become picky, to start refusing a certain type of food, to tell you, I don't want to eat, I'm going away. Meal times with screens, this is something I keep insisting. I don't want to see TV in the kitchen, or a TV in the playroom while the kids are eating, or their iPad or their phone. This is not okay, because first of all, it increases picky eating. So unlike we think, a lot of times we want to give them a screen because we want them to eat. But they will eat out of unmindfulness. So they eat without any sort of focus. They are not focused on their food. They are not being mindful. They are not listening to their hunger and fullness cues. So sometimes they might eat more than they can, and sometimes they might eat less. They don't enjoy the flavor, the texture, the smell of the food. So at the end of the day, food is an experience, and they should go through all these kinds of feelings and emotions when it comes to food. Picky eating is normal, but we have to tackle it as soon as we feel that it's upcoming, and not give up easily. A lot of times moms give up because they are tired, and I understand. Sometimes they're tired, they don't want to hear a child nagging, they don't want them to cry. But as soon as you feel that this is coming, it's fine. You can reach out to experts and they can help you on this matter.
What's your thought on making the kids finish their plate?
Okay, this is also cultural, Nour, because you remember, like when we were young, you have to finish your plate because some other people are starving and you are not supposed to leave food on your plate. So this is not okay, because when you make them and force them to eat more than they can, first of all, you are not teaching them mindfulness. You are not teaching them how to listen to their bodies, to their satiety cues, to their fullness and hunger cues. And you are building a very bad and unhealthy relationship with food itself. So, and sometimes the food that you are making them finish, that they don't want to finish, they might not like anymore. Let's say you put them a plate of mjadra. They eat half the plate and they leave the other half. A lot of times they will stop eating mjadra because you make them eat it by force. Especially, force feeding when it comes to babies. This is another story, and this is... So force feeding, definitely not an option. Finishing your plate is not an option. So what I tell the moms usually, more or less how much your kids eat. And there's nothing like they have to eat this amount of food. Every child is different. It also depends on their activity levels, if they were at school or not, how much food they ate at school, what did they have for breakfast and for lunch before dinner, that's why they're not that hungry. Did they have an extracurricular activity? Did they play sports today? Did they move more and consume more energy? Maybe they need a bigger meal. So what I always suggest is always get the kids smaller plates, and plates that are friendly for their age. Put a small amount of foods and always tell them, offer them if they want more at the end, and also give them the option to ask for more if they are still not hungry, not full. So they have to know when they are full. They have to understand if they are full or they're still hungry. Definitely encourage them not to drink a lot of water with food, because a lot of times they feel full from the liquids. If you have a soup to offer it at the end of the meal, not at the beginning of the meal. Let them start with the main course. Let them eat slowly, not rush with their food, like chew very well. These are things that we can teach our kids at an early age, because when they chew, a lot of kids, I see them swallow their food, So this is also genetic, by the way. So let them eat slowly, chew their food, because this will increase mindfulness and will make them feel full, and they will know when they are full. Whether when they are eating fast, they don't know if they're full, they don't know if they're still hungry, they will have stomach ache after like 30 minutes. So serve them in smaller plates, serve them more if they want to, but don't force them to finish the plate. This is really not, it's not okay.
I know you have a freebie prepared for us. Can you tell us a bit about that?
So it's basically some hacks about meal planning, like how to meal plan, how to meal prep, what are the fruits and vegetables that we can freeze, what are the ingredients that we can freeze, how much they can stay in the freezer, food safety, of course, and some recipe ideas as well for the moms.
Amazing. That's very helpful. Thank you. We'll add the link in the show notes below. Riham, to end this session, what is one advice that you would give moms listening?
So this is my advice from one mom to another. First of all, take all the rest you can. Delegate whenever you can. If you can get help, get the help you can as well, from family members to friends. This is really important for your mental and your physical health. When it comes to meal planning, try to at least once per week or once per month to prepare your ingredients, meal prepping, meal plan with the family, with the things that your family likes. If you are not able to cook, it's okay. One of the days, maybe you might be sick, you might be tired, you might be overwhelmed. It's always okay to outsource if you are not able to do that. So I want you to take it easy on yourself and enjoy your motherhood with your kids.
Thank you so much, Riham. Thank you for being here and for sharing everything that you've shared with us today.
Thank you, Nour. Thank you.
If you've enjoyed this episode, make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. You know where to find me. You can find me on contact@Madinat Mom, on www.madinatmom.com, or on our Instagram @Madinat Mom. Until next time, take care of yourselves as fiercely as you take care of your little ones.